I was not sure whether I should buy this shoe or not, especially with my experience with the Olympus 5. However, I still bit the bullet and bought the shoe. And this is my initial review about the Altra Olympus 6. Like usual, before I start talking about the Altra Olympus 6, the usual disclaimer: I bought this shoe from my own money. I bought it from Running Warehouse, if I'm not mistaken, and I bought it around €160. The retail price is that of €180, and all the opinions expressed during this clip are my own. Some specifications about the Altra Olympus 6. First of all, it has a stack height of 33mm at the heel and at the front at the forefoot, which makes it a 0mm drop. It has a Vibram Mega Grip as an outsole with 3.5mm lugs, with some exposed midsole in the middle of the foot. The foam is a compression molded EVA foam, which is supposed to be a bit more lightweight compared to the Ego Max. I'm not sure whether that's the case or not. The mesh is a very breathable mesh upper. The foot shape is the original, is the widest across the board. The foam softness is approximately 20 on the hardness scale, which according to runrepeat.com it should be in the same ballpark like Hoka's Speedgo 6. And the width at the big toe is 87.4mm. It has a gusseted tongue, and the weight in my size at 44.5 European is that of 400 grams. As I said, the retail price is €180. However, you can already sometimes find it on sale on most European running websites. I ran over 200 kilometers in this shoe, so actually I ran much more in this than in the Altra Experience Wild, and even in the Mont Blanc. I'm reserving the Mont Blanc for important runs and races, especially because of the durability of the outsole. However, this is my working horse alongside with the Altra Experience Wild. So it's a very comfortable shoe. When you step into the shoe, you can feel that it's very comfortable, it's very spacious. The toe box is very wide. I can wear toe socks without any issues. In this one there will be no touching on the side of the shoe. It has a very nice constructed upper. I really like the upper. I think out of all the Altras that I am wearing at the moment for the trails, I think I would choose this upper if I want something that holds my feet pretty well, especially because of the sidewalls and some overlays at the bottom part of the shoe, both on the outside and inside of the shoe, which keeps my feet pretty well locked in. I think I have the best lockdown from all Altra shoe in the Altra Olympus 6, funnily enough. As I always say, I have very low volume feet, and this is a very wide shoe compared to the other ones. It's a very wide, steep platform, which has its advantages and disadvantages, because it's very stable. Even when you start getting tired, it really holds your feet, and when you're stepping, it's very stable. It's not moving sideways. However, sometimes it's difficult to fit in very narrow parts. Sometimes it ends up doesn't go in, and you're trying to twist. It's a pretty rigid shoe, even more rigid I think than the Altra Mont Blanc Carbon. This has no carbon plate. However, the midsole is slightly higher, and it makes it a little bit rigider, which I have no issues with that. Sometimes I enjoy, especially as I'm getting tired. It feels much more stable compared to something like the Trabuco Max 2 or 3, even though it's slightly lower in cushioning. However, I prefer the ride of the Altra Olympus 6 over the Trabuco Max 2 or 3 when it comes to stability. If you're doing very long runs, I think the cushioning and the rocker on the SX might be slightly better than the one on the Olympus. I wouldn't choose it maximum for an ultra. I would choose the Altra Mont Blanc Carbon, primarily due to its weight, because it's a pretty heavy shoe. The foam feels relatively soft, nothing extraordinary, so do not imagine something like a super foam, special foam. It's an EVA foam at the end of the day. It's protective, however, it does not have a high energy return. And the outsole, it's very, very good in most conditions so far, and I really like it. It grips a lot. If it's muddy, unfortunately, it does not clear the mud very, very quickly, even compared to a Hoka Speed Goat 5. However, it has very good grip on loose rocks and wet rocks as well. Some things that I dislike, I already mentioned. I think the weight is one issue, especially if you're planning to race in them. If it's your daily trainer, it might be a very good option to have something heavy, so then once you put the lighter shoe, you can feel faster. Maybe, I don't know, some mind games in that, or maybe your feet are getting used to running in heavier shoes. The price, I think €180 might be a bit too steep for this kind of midsole. I would maybe expect for €108 a dual density midsole at least, maybe no carbon plate, but at least a dual density midsole, something like the Ultra Mont Blanc carbon without the carbon plate, so at least it'd be a bit more responsive. The gaiter hook is a bit of a nightmare to put the gaiter in. It's literally sitting under this piece of material in the front, and it's very, very difficult to hook the gaiter. Sometimes it takes me approximately 1 to 2 minutes to hook the gaiter. I would have preferred if the hook is on top. However, once you hook it, then it never comes undone. So there's some kind of the advantage there. The top part of the upper here next to the heel, it's a bit stiff, it's a bit rigid, and initially when I was tightening the shoe, it was digging into my heel, maybe because I have low volume feet, so my ankles are a bit lower sitting in the shoe. However, now I realize that I don't need to tighten the shoe so much, because once I tighten the midfoot part, the laces do not come undone. The other thing is the pull tab is kind of useless. It's very difficult to put my finger in. Maybe even the pinky one is very difficult to put in. I would prefer the pull tab of the Altra Experience Wild. And the heel pads, I would prefer if they were part of the heel collar rather than having kind of an additional attached part, which sometimes you might feel the stitching when you are running. So far that was it. I will definitely run much more kilometers in this shoe. I'm hoping that it will reach 600 kilometers. So far the outsole is still attached to the bottom of the shoe, something that by this time the Altra Olympus 5, it already came off, even though it's this similar design. I hope that it will last a pretty long time. And again, while I enjoy it, I enjoy running in this shoe, sometimes the weight is a bit of concern, especially when you're doing those 4-hour plus runs. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you find this content enjoyable and useful and informative, please consider subscribing, maybe share this video with some fellow runners. I appreciate viewing this video. See you in the next one.